We start here this hour. The EFF, it's holding its third National People's Assembly this week. The party is convening its conference shortly after its electoral bruising and the loss of high-profile leaders in the party. Day one of the four-day conference is today, which has essentially been reserved for delegates and guests to get their accreditation completed. Now, tomorrow, the program fully gets underway. This is where the EFF will dissect its policies and review its constitution when needed. The delegates will also elect a new leadership that will lead the party for the next 5 years. Let's take a look at this Pan Africanist Socialist Party since its founding. Now, the Economic Freedom Fighters Party was founded in July of 2013. That was 15 months after its leader, Julius Malema, was expelled from the ANC for sowing divisions and bringing the party into disrepute. That was, of course, as per the report by the ANC's Integrity Committee. Now, Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu, who became the deputy president, were the founders of the Economic Freedom Fighters. Many would know that on many occasions, Malema, when speaking of the brotherhood between him and Floyd, he would remind many that Floyd was never expelled from the ANC. He was merely suspended but opted to leave with him, almost stressing the level of loyalty between the two of them. Of course, things have now changed. The political landscape has seen a shake-up with the founding of the Umkhonto we Sizwe Party and several leaders of the EFF defecting to Umkhonto we Sizwe Party. Now, in May, the general elections, the party dropped from being the third largest party in South Africa to fourth position. They garnered 9.52% of the vote and became the fourth biggest party in the country. We shift our focus now and look at the current and also outgoing leadership structure. The president is Julius Malema, of course, known as the commander-in-chief in the EFF party structure, meaning he is the critical part, one would say the most essential cog of the broader machinery of the EFF. Now, we understand he'll stand unopposed for another term. There is currently no deputy president because Floyd Shivambu resigned from the party 4 months ago in August in what came as a shock to many. He has since become the Secretary General of the MK Party. Who will now fill that position is the big question. Who will be fielded as the candidate? Of course, there's been talk that perhaps Ideological might be the person who fills that position, but there's also been talk of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. One will see once it gets underway exactly who will fill those big shoes of Floyd Shivambu. But some names being bandied about are that of Marshall Dlamini as well, and Ideological, as mentioned, Vuyani Pambo also, and as stated as well, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. So a very interesting one. These are other members of the outgoing leadership structure. So we have, of course, the SG there, Marshall Dlamini. You also have the chairperson, Veronica Mente. You have the spokesperson, Leanne Mates. You have the TG, Umphile Mautwe. You also have the DSG, as you can see there, and then you also have, of course, the vacant one being that of Floyd Shivambu, who has since left the political party. Let's move to the next slide now with the EFF in a bit of a shaky ground. The moment following their showing at the elections and some high-profile departures, let's maybe focus on some of their discussion points that aim to help stabilize the party, starting with organizational character and redesign. On that one, it's a very important one because when we speak organizational character and redesign, it really is going to look at what exactly the party should become now, going forward. With everything that has happened, a party that is fit for purpose, that can be a vehicle that will one day be the government that they've said they would possibly be, as having been a government in waiting, as they would have said themselves. One of the interesting parts in the redesign of the organization, when listening to Marshall Dlamini, he stated that there would be a discussion around increasing the branches from 100 to 200. And then this would somehow capacitate the political party in the branches, where you've got a branch of 15,000 voters. You would need more members in a branch. So there's a possibility, the proposal there is to move from 100 to 200 members in one branch. They also want to do away, or the proposal is to do away with regions and rather have what they call sub-regions. And this, again, when listening to the Secretary General, was because with the regions, they're far too big. And in most instances, you'd find that the EFF, those that occupy those structures or are leaders in the regions, would sometimes be unemployed. And one would have to cover the vast region using whatever little money they have. So they've decided to make them smaller and rather have sub-regions. So it'll be quite interesting to see if a number of them will buy into that proposals of doing away with regions and rather having sub-regions. We also know that this time around, there are a number of other matters that have decided how many delegates come to the conference. It's 2005, significantly smaller than what we saw in 2019, and this is because there's been a criteria. all of them have had to meet the 10% threshold, that you must have garnered that number of votes. And for those that haven't met that threshold, they will not be bringing delegates to the conference. But we understand there's been an arrangement for KwaZulu-Natal and the Western Cape. The KwaZulu-Natal one, they say, has been a very challenging situation. So those delegates will be attending the conference, but of course they will not enjoy the status similar to those who met the threshold. What that means is that those delegates will not be voting delegates. There will be non-voting delegates who will participate in the commissions, in all the discussions as resolutions are taken, but will not enjoy that privilege of at least voting for the leadership structure and the broader CCT. We move to the other important discussion point, media communications and the battle of ideas. With regards to media communication and battle of ideas, here the EFF will discuss what they claim to be media propaganda against the party. They'll look at ways to implement what they call a shift from smear campaigns to funded ideological warfare. Another important one that piqued my interest is the one around Pan Africanism or internationalism. This will be a discussion point which speaks to their foreign policy. We know that when it comes to foreign policy in the country such as ours, where it seems the open borders have been quite the topic. We live in an era where there's a lot of protectionism in the world. A person like a Donald Trump, who spoke of America first, seems to have resonated with a broader amount of the citizens there in America. So it will be interesting to hear what kind of inputs come out of that specific one, that conversation or commission around Pan-Africanism and internationalism, or just their broader foreign policy this time around. So quite a lot to get through.